eVoice is the reason you're going to make more money in 2013. How? There are hundreds of ways, and you can see them all when you go to jmohr.com and click the eVoice banner. Here are some examples. Listen to me now. When customers call, you'll have your own toll-free number, professional greeting, dial by name directory, and more. You'll sound like a Fortune 500 company and blow away your competitors. eVoice even takes all your voicemails, transcribes them, and sends them to you so you can check voicemails before the meeting ends and not look rude. eVoice is only $10 a month. My listeners can test out eVoice for 30 days with no cost and see how much it can help you grow your business. Go to eVoice.com and type in the promo code J. That's J-A-Y. Support Fake Mustache Studios and this podcast. Stop what you're doing, hit pause, set up your eVoice free trial, and see what I'm talking about. Go to eVoice.com, promo code J, J-A-Y, that's eVoice.com, promo code J, or just go to jmohr.com and click the eVoice banner right now. America was built by dreamers and innovators, people like Edison, Henry Ford, and don't forget Steve Jobs, but it's the inventors and entrepreneurs around us, like you, that make America great. This month, LegalZoom.com is celebrating innovation by making it easier for you to innovate. File a patent application to protect your invention, incorporate your business, or form an LLC and launch your dream. Get help with trademark and copyright applications and more. LegalZoom has helped customers file for 100,000 trademarks and help tons of businesses get started just right. Just call or visit LegalZoom.com, answer some straightforward questions, and they'll take care of you from start to finish. Celebrate the innovation with LegalZoom.com, and for a limited time, get a special price on trademark, copyright, patent applications when you enter MOHR in the referral box at checkout. Protect your creations, launch your dreams at LegalZoom.com today. LegalZoom can provide self-help services at your specific direction, or they connect you to an independent attorney, but they're not a law firm.
Put your name on it.
Welcome back, Jam and Jim Florentine. Whose Starbucks cup says Steve? Were you with a friend at Starbucks?
No, I never give the right name.
Is that like your
Yeah, that's my,
your personal little game?
Yeah, but no one's even around to enjoy. I usually say Jennifer. They go, your name? I go, Jennifer, and they start laughing. I go, what's so funny? I go,
yeah, what's your deal? Yeah.
I go, yeah, that's my name. And they're like, oh, no. I go,
Free coffee ever?
I got it off of my father. That's my dad's name. I named it to him. And like, oh, no, I didn't mean I was laughing at something else. I go, you weren't laughing like 2 seconds before that, so you were laughing at my name.
Did you ever get a free coffee? Like, I'm not paying for this coffee.
No, I don't.
You should. Take it up a notch.
Yeah, I should go. Yeah, that's discrimination.
You know what? I'm not paying for this coffee. I want my $2.80 back from my red eye.
$2. Please.
What is it?
It's like $5.25 for this.
What do you order? That's so fancy.
I just a vanilla latte.
Oh, see, I'm just black coffee. Or you get one shot of espresso in it. It's a red eye, like a venti.
Oh yeah.
But if you get two, I'm down at the Starbucks down here, and I go, what if I want 2 shots of espresso? They go, it's a black eye. I go, I can't walk into Starbucks and order a black eye. And the kid, 3's a brown eye, 4's rape. Can I get some rape? They're like, why? And I go, a black eye? Like, I gotta be super careful how I say it. It's like a whole language. Can I get a small coffee? Tall? No. Small. Like, tall is completely different than small. They trick you.
I know. She just did that with me.
It's my
hacky
Starbucks chunk.
I know. I used to have that whole bit down too. I used to kill.
It's called corporate
But I even
gigs.
did the medium. I go, a medium, and she's like, you mean the
Grande?
The grande? I don't know. Whatever the second cup is there.
You know, for 20 cents extra, I can get you the venti. You're like, thanks for saving my fucking mortgage.
Yeah, well, for 40 cents less, I can get a small.
Tall?
Yeah. I forget I used to do a whole bit about that too.
I guess we all do. It's just a rite of passage.
It was part, yeah.
Damn hack. We hack it up, and then we realize, well, I just made a pile of shit that everybody else does. I'm going to move on. But I'm still doing
I know. When I'm doing Caroline's and there's like 6 other guys in the show, and 3 of them are doing Starbucks bit before me, I'm like, all right, it's time to let the bit go.
You and I were at the Improv Tuesday. I do Improv night at the Melrose Improv in Hollywood. And if anybody listening to this wants to go, just go to improv.com and tickets will be there, or just show up. It's fucking Tuesday at 8 o'clock. And you went up. And it was only like, you're like, I'll do 8 minutes. And I'm like, you could do 10. You could do whatever you want. We're friends. And the immediacy with which Jim Florentine just gets everyone laughing. There is like, not how you doing. You just literally stood on stage. You walked on stage and you just went immediately. Your first joke was about a girl saying, girls get drunk and say, I think somebody put something in my drink.
Yeah.
But just the way you said that, I started giggling. Matty boy just laughed. And what's the answer?
Girls always like, I think somebody put something like, they did. It was the bartender. It was called booze, you fucking lightweight. It was alcohol and ice.
He said someone's going to put something in their drink to want to sleep with you.
Yeah, because I always say, I go, and nobody put anything in your drink. You're not that hot, all right? Because it's always the ugliest one in the group that does that. Oh, my God.
I think somebody put something in my drink.
Yeah, and I'm like, somebody has to put something in their own drink to fuck you. That's how it works.
It just boom. Like,
yeah,
you just
right
walked
off
on
the bat.
stage. But that's real. How long have you been doing stand-up? 20 years?
20 years,
yeah. Like, would you agree? It's like you got to go 17 years, 18 years before you can just step in and just throw an energy out. Like, fuck it, we're going.
Yeah.
We'll do it live. Fuck it, we'll do it live. Like, you just went up and did it. Like everyone else in the world. So how you guys doing? Everybody's good?
Good, yeah.
How are we? Hollywood, what's up? All right.
Yeah, I'm from Jersey. Good.
Fuck
it's good
that.
to be here. No.
Jim just went up.
Like, I got 8 minutes. I'm just laying it out. If you like it, just pick out the ones you like is my philosophy.
That's great.
There's going to be a bunch in there you're not, but hopefully. Sometimes it alienates the crowd because it's pretty rough to just go right up there and do that. Within the first 40 seconds, I'm basically telling a girl I'm putting, stuff in your drink to fuck you. So it's could be a little dicey.
It's dicey.
Yeah.
Gay! Who's gonna spank your drink? Thank you for the softball lob. I appreciate that. It's dicey. Gage! You host that metal show, the metal show on VH1, which I watch whenever I can. VH1's in the weird numbers. First world problem.
Well, classic is even up further.
Yeah, my DirecTV, such first world problems. VH1 is not on my beaten path. Like ESPN's like 206, HBO's are in the 500s, Showtime, and then you guys are in like the late 300s. But then when I do catch it, I love all of them. And it's like you just told me about Thin Lizzy's back out, and they have a new lead singer, and I'm like, haven't heard of that guy. I'm super excited about it. Tell me about this again.
Yeah,
you're my metal expert.
Thin Lizzy, yeah, is back. This guy Ricky Warwick, he used to sing with this band, The Almighty. They were a band from Ireland, and they were pretty popular, like in the late '80s up to like mid '90s. And he's singing with them now. It's still like two or three of the original Thin Lizzy guys. They've been touring as Thin Lizzy, but they do an album. They didn't want to call it Thin Lizzy because the lead singer Phil's been gone for so long, so they're calling Black Star Riders. And it's coming out in like a couple of weeks.
So he died with the rights to Thin Lizzy?
His mom owns the rights. Phil Lynette's mom.
That's the best. Hey, can we talk to your mom?
Yeah.
Is your mom home? Can we call our band Thin Lizzy? How much? Can the rights nice.
Yeah, see,
Matty Boy Orlando, he always can the rights come out and play? Are the rights home?
Yeah, well, with that, like if it was a Guns N' Roses or a Van Halen where they would do big business, I'm sure she would have gave up the name. But Thin Lizzy's not doing big business by putting an album out these days. So
it's too bad.
I know, it is too bad. But God. If it was a big band, she'd be like, all right, well, give me the cash. All right.
Last time you were on, I asked you who's the most underrated metal band of all time. And without blinking, you said Thin Lizzy. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And right when you said it, I think comics mostly, you only bring up the question because you want to lay your answer onto the other person, and like whatever they say, you're like, no. But as soon as you said Thin Lizzy, I was like, oh, I guess you won. Like you just completely shut it down. Thin Lizzy. It was the end of the discussion.
Well, because they only had 2 big hits in the States, but they had so many more great songs. I mean,
people gave me shit tweets because I said Jailbreak.
Jailbreak and
But then why were people shitting all over? Right?
Yeah, that's the main song, Jailbreak. And
but why are people tweeting me like I got that all wrong?
No, that's their big hit in the States.
People, they're just idiots then. They're like, that's Brian John.
And the Boys are back in town. Those 2 songs are the only one people know in the States. But they had a huge collection over.
Boys
over
are back in town. By the way, if you start a band, like that's the number one. You and your buddies in the garage. You got guess who just. It's like it's in the perfect key.
Yeah.
Anybody can sing it. I don't know why I just made it sound like the Dukes of Hazzard theme song. You're doing what is it? Rock on the Range? What is your Rockin' the Range? Rockin' on the Range?
There's a festival that goes in Columbus, Ohio every year called Rock on the Range.
May 18th.
It's like
I'm jealous.
It's actually 3 days. It's May 17, 18, 19. They have like 50 bands every year.
But they're all the bands I like. When you were telling me off mic, usually when guys do festivals, like I did Coachella or I did, Bonnaroo, and I'm like, well, who gives a shit? I was home on my ass watching the Knicks. I don't care. But when you just said you're doing Rock in the Range and you told me the bands, I'm like, are you fucking... And Columbus, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I'm not... All seriousness, it's just an awesome comedy town anyway.
Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, Smashing Pumpkins, Bush. Shit.
You don't need any other.
You don't need any. Yeah.
Sometimes I listen. This I'm a huge. You're wearing a Nirvana T-shirt. I'm a huge Nirvana guy, right? And sometimes I'll listen to the album Bush, Golden State.
Right.
And I make believe it's He Didn't Die.
Yeah, and that's the
new
follow-up.
Nirvana.
Yeah.
And you're like, holy shit, speed kills coming down the mountain. And you're like, wow, this new Nirvana album's good. Otherwise, I'm like, this guy's kind of pretty and weird. I don't know if I like him. But if I make believe it's the new Nirvana album, it sounds almost exactly like a Nirvana album.
Well, and the whole Courtney Love's first record.
Well, that was a Nirvana.
That was a Nirvana album, too.
Great album, man.
That is a great
Live Through
one.
This.
Yeah.
Fucking great and by the way, I saw her. She takes a lot of shit, but I saw her at Roseland, Hole. I saw at Roseland, and she set it live. Like, she set that shit on fire live. Like, that band, as fucked up as they were and as crazy as they were, she destroyed Roseland. It was great. But I know she's bad news, but.
Yeah, I mean, I think at that time she still had a little, had it together.
You'd fuck her.
Absolutely. Please.
Maddie was nodding.
Just for the story to tell the grandkids.
What story? How my dick fell off? Why Granddaddy has a colostomy bag that comes out of his urethra?
I'd rather fall off fucking Courtney Love than just some skank on the road.
That's true.
You're like, well, she was married to, Kurt Cobain, and who knows what the daughter's going to be, Bean or Frances Bean.
Kurt really, Kurt. She heard us talking about her. She's really crazy. Roseland, is that still up and running in Manhattan, or did they close it down?
Yeah, it's still open.
Do they still put on great shows? Like, it was always the place to see, like, sound. I saw Smashing Pumpkins there. This fucking, by the way, this happening on my street is a one-off. Oh, they're making a run. Fire trucks do that.
They're just doing a dry run for something?
You got to know, like, well, how long does it take to get from here to, let's say it's high school, and they just fly around. Like in Manhattan, when you say everybody, half the time it's just, they're making the run.
I didn't even know that.
Smashing Pumpkins is going to be at Rockin' on the Range.
Rock on the Range, yeah.
In Columbus. Jim Florentine will be there May 18th. I was listening to Smashing Pumpkins today, driving to and from work, and it was all like Spaceboy, like the demo for Spaceboy that he did in his apartment. And I'm like, man, this is another guy that takes a lot of shit. And for some reason, I think Smashing Pumpkins kind of felt it. Everyone always like Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Nirvana, Alice in Chains. I'm like, you might want to go back and listen to Siamese Dream. That's Butch Vig and those guys put together some sonic fucking crazy shit.
That's true. They do. They are left out a lot when you talk about those 90s bands.
And it's because he shaved his head and went nuts, and he's just a big, tall weirdo, I think.
Yeah. And then, 9 Inch Nails almost, sometimes doesn't get thrown in that category. And they should have been.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean, they were huge.
Teach me, because you taught me Thin Lizzy.
They were a huge band. I mean, if they...
It's not a band, it's a guy.
Well, and he always hires... Yeah, and supposedly he's doing dates.
Billy Corgan's like that, too, though.
Yeah, he's going to do dates. They're going to do dates now.
The gang, Trent. I'm really mad I missed the Jane's Addiction 9 Inch Nails tour. That seemed like a pretty rad... tours. Like,
well, now there's a tour coming around called Uproar this summer. It's coming out here. I don't know where it's playing, but it's Alice in Chains and Jane's Addiction.
Jerry Cantrell was just at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Wasn't he singing with Guns N' Roses?
Heart.
He was singing with Heart?
Yeah, because he's from Seattle. They're friends.
And him and Cameron Crowe are buddies, and Nancy. I guess he won Nancy in the divorce.
No, because Cameron and Nancy got divorced.
Yeah, so
Nancy's remarried.
Yeah, so he's probably.
We had
that's the thing about
Heart
divorce
on our show. Nancy still looks good, man.
She
at like
does.
59.
That's what people don't realize about divorce. You have to pick a side. What your friends don't realize is like, I'm just going to be friends with both of you. No, you're not.
Yeah,
You're
in the
not.
beginning, you're like, no, it's going to be perfect. We'll be friends with both. Yeah.
You're not.
This is like when you break up with a chick. No, we're friends. No, we're going to be friends. Like, yeah, really? Yeah. No, it's going to be. It was an easy breakup, and then a month later, don't ever contact me again. Stop.
Take your Steely Dan CDs. They stink.
Yeah.
I hate them.
Yeah.
Hey, go to Amazon if you want to buy something. Support J Mohr Stories. You can go to jmohr.com. Clear your cookies. Instead of an Amazon on your toolbar, have jmohr.com on your toolbar, and then I will read what you bought. Our friend Shane Snyder, Jim Florentine, said, "Hey, J Mohr's, had to get my dad a gift for his birthday. Decided to use the Amazon link on jmohr.com to get him his Amazon gift card. You know, to get something crazy? Nice Amazon gift card.
Is that Dee Snyder's son, Shane Snyder?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, seriously.
No, I don't know.
I think
Get the
it
fuck,
is.
really?
Yeah,
Come
because
on.
I know Shane.
Call him. Rat underrated, I would say. No?
Yeah,
Bullet
yeah.
Boys.
Nah, no.
Smooth up in you.
Ted Templeman's a genius. He produced that record. He
Ted
got that song
Templeman
out of
produced
him.
all of Van Halen stuff. I asked.
Dude, your interview with Roth was phenomenal.
You dug it?
Yeah, absolutely.
He was.
Just you had David Lee Roth, and did you do it here?
Right, he sat right where you're sitting. I will say this. I don't know if I don't think a single music podcast has ever gone south or even become average. I love music so much. Like, you're my metal guy.
Right.
So when even just you and I talking, I get so excited to just talk about metal. Like, who left the most money on the table? And your answer was immediate. You remember what your answer was?
It was, it wasn't Guns. It was Pink Floyd, I think, right?
You said Zeppelin.
Oh, right, Zeppelin.
I said Pink Floyd. I thought Pink Floyd of Roger Waters. I used to think it was Van Halen, and you're like, "How stupid! They're touring right now." And I was like, "Oh, sorry." You took me to I was sitting in that chair. We were
Right, yeah, I
switched
remember, yeah.
And you're like, "No, they're touring. They're touring, and they're alternating lead singers." It was a very bizarre setup. And then you said Zeppelin definitely left the most.
Zeppelin,
on the table.
yeah.
And I say Pink Floyd.
It's close.
Both guys make $100 million separate.
But Roger Waters has already been out with Pink Floyd, doing the Wall show and stuff. So they would still be huge if it was the original band.
Yeah.
But I think Zeppelin, though.
I think Syd Barrett left the most on the table.
Yeah.
I love. Are you a Black Crowes fan?
Absolutely.
Gorman, the drummer, Steve on your coffee cup. Steve Gorman was on the podcast, and just telling stories about touring with Jimmy Page, and then you realize, wow, Jimmy Page decided to tour with the Black Crowes before he decided to hook up with Robert Plant and John Paul Jones, and a drummer. You know what I mean? Like, that's got to be the weirdest compliment in the world, and they fucked it up. They managed to make it go away.
What happened? Like, did they?
I'll tell you, it's confidential.
All right.
It wasn't Chris. It wasn't Steve. It wasn't Sven. It was somebody in the band just kind of acted a certain way that made it go away.
No, but how many dates did they do?
They were supposed to do 3 weeks, take a week off, 3 weeks, take a week off, then go to Europe and do 3 weeks, take a week off, 3 weeks, take a week off.
And it lasted how long?
About 4 or 5 shows.
4 or 5.
They did the Tonight Show, and they were at a hotel in Hollywood, and the manager called up and said, yes, Jimmy went home. And they're like, well, was he okay? They're like, no, like, he's in England. He's home.
Wow.
So but to think, like, cause, and like Josh Homme was like, basically we're getting everybody that's ever played with anybody in Led Zeppelin, I'm getting them on the podcast.
All right, well, you go.
Queens of the Stone Age, that he did, Them Crooked Vultures with, Grohl. And, it's just so weird. Like, these guys in Zeppelin, like, they can't get their shit together. What do they not like?
I have a theory with British guys. They're cranky. They're just miserable. They need some booze in them before they fucking cheer up during the day. They're always just cranky. If you've been around any musician, a British guy, they're just miserable.
Right.
I was just talking to the guy that created Californication. He said they had Lemmy on the set. Lemmy's from Motorhead. He's like, the guy was miserable the whole time. He told him he was going to slice the guy's neck if he didn't get to the scene quick enough. We had to let him go. He's like, the director thought he was going to slice his neck. I'm like, he needs some cocktails in him. We've had these guys on our show, like the guys from Black Sabbath. They come in, they're fucking cranky. They wake up at like 5, 6 o'clock if they don't have the right beer or whatever it is. And Robert Plant is the most miserable man on the face. Every interview.
Does anybody remember Laughter?
Yeah. I love that. But, you see him in an interview now, anything about Led Zeppelin, and he just screams at the people.
And now he's touring with like country western people.
Yeah, he does
like,
anything not to do Zeppelin, but
yeah.
he yells at him. It's like, you're going to get that as a press conference.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I mean really that he yells because
he
of
gets
it.
really mad when you bring it up.
And Jimmy Page, when I saw him, I would have thought, I did acid once and we watched Song Remains the Same, and all of us, when we watched Song Remain the Same, we're like, oh, Jimmy Page is Satan. Like, we all understood the dynamic because he's wearing like the black jumpsuit with the roses up the side. And we're like, roses have thorns, bro. Like, you think it's and then they have that weird sword fight and shit, and they're playing songs from Songs Remain the Same, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah. And that double guitar, you're like, that's some evil shit. A double neck guitar, he's Satan. And then you see This Might Get Loud, and he's like the sweetest, easiest to get along with, and he's got this little smile on his face, like this enlightened, like Dalai Lama guy. He's like super. He doesn't seem grouchy, is what I'm saying.
Maybe not. I don't know about Page, but he also bought Aleister Crowley's house. It's like known saint. He lived there for years. They said that's why all the bad luck happened to Zeppelin in the band. Robert Plant's son died when he was like 4 years old, like this mysterious disease, just, and then Plant got in a bad accident, broke his leg, almost couldn't walk. He was when they did that Presence album, he was in a wheelchair doing that record.
Really?
Yeah, he got in a bad car accident, and then John Bonham, all of this stuff always happened with Zeppelin. There was always some shit going down. So they always said it was because, the evil spirits around the band from all their, their crazy parties. And then,
do you believe that stuff?
No.
I only believe the evil spirit that you create from your own negative attitude and energies.
Yeah.
Like just people that are just such scumbags. You're like, well, nothing good will ever happen for this person.
Yeah, I don't believe it either. But
I know people that are so negative, like they get sick, like they physically
Absolutely.
get ill. It's weird. Like
our buddy Rich Voss was just having problems with his stomach.
I quit smoking. That was 18 years ago. Voss is the worst, but he's the best.
He just said he was getting X-rays on his stomach. I go, dude, it's stress.
over here.
It's stress. He's like, no, I'm telling you.
My wife hates me.
He keeps texting Bonnie. He's like, I'm dying of stomach cancer. Like this. I'm like, dude, you're out of your mind. It's stress. I guarantee
My doctor's
you.
dodging me.
And it was stress when he got the test back because he fucking worries all the time.
We do a radio show on Fox Sports Radio, and Pat O'Brien comes in. I mean, this guy did like the Final Four. He's like one of the most iconic voices in the world. But off mic, he just walks around going, he clears his throat
Really?
like he's a crazy man. Just walking around going, and I go, Pat, don't do that. He goes, I saw one of the I saw one of the premier throat doctors in the world, and you know what he told me? He said it's a habit. But he doesn't stop doing it. His doctor said it's just a habit. What do you like better? A band like
Well, first of all, I idolize that guy. Those phone calls to that girl trying to hook up a threesome.
Betsy's so fucking hot.
Were the greatest.
Just blink.
People said that sounded like me with his voice. He was really deep and he was creepy. And calling the girl, I'm downstairs. Come on, I got coke. Let me up.
I want to
But love that.
so bad.
What's wrong with that? Everyone thought he was the devil by doing. Oh, sorry, he was trying to hook up a threesome. Not so bad.
And how else do you hook up a threesome except saying I have coke?
Yeah, exactly.
That's
yeah.
kind of that's like having a great worm on your hook to catch trout.
Yeah, you're not going to go to a nice dinner and have some wine and then
Hey, I
discuss
got a
it there.
TGI Fridays gift card. Yeah. You guys want to eat each other's boxes up in my house? No, I have coke. Who's coming over?
Coke is that 90%. It's going down if there's some coke involved.
They say it in the ad. Coke is it.
That's absolutely
Not new Coke. What do you admire more? A band like Van Halen? And this is, I don't have a follow-up that I admire more since I put it. Because comics do that, like, who do you think's most underrated music? And then, like, whatever you say, I just pile up. Maybe that's just how I operate. But do you like Van Halen going out with, like, Wolfgang on bass? Or, like, when people die, like The Who? Like, it's Roger Daltrey and it's Townsend. But to me, it's all Townsend to me. Like, start to finish, Townsend to me. If it was just fucking Pete Townsend with hired help, with Gary Sharon.
Right.
And he called it The Who. I can't take my eyes off of Townsend playing guitar.
Really?
I love Townsend. So, that said, when they go on tour and it's not, Keith Moon, and Keith Moon was a star, it's like, all right, okay, I understand. Like Van Halen, Wolfgang on bass. But there is something like admirable about Zeppelin. Like John Bonham died and that's it.
I know.
And it's never not been it. It's it. It's over.
I mean, that was what, 1980?
Yeah, done.
And they've done like 2 shows since, like 2 charity shows, and that's it.
But
that's amazing.
It's admirable.
I know, because they always say that, no, we're not going to move on. If someone dies, this band's over. They always say it. And then someone dies.
Yeah,
and
they push Brian Jones into the pool.
3 weeks later, after Bon Scott died, Brian Johnson they were the audition singers, and Brian Johnson was in the band.
They're Australians. They think differently.
They were like, what are we going to do? Angus Young goes, after like 4 days, I'm like, am I going to sit around and mope, or are we going to move on? I mean, it wasn't
lead singer, too.
It didn't mean disrespect to Bon, but they were like, look, this is all we know. We got to get
lead singer is almost impossible. That's a Herculean task. Like the Stones, like after Brian Jones comes out of the pool, and then Mick Taylor quits, and then like to land on Ronnie, I think I've said this 8 podcasts in a row. They apparently you can interchange guitarists a lot easier.
Yeah.
And in Van Halen, like Sammy Hagar, they had all their hits with Sammy Hagar, their biggest hits.
Yeah, but you can't.
But that ain't.
Well, with Eddie though, you can't put another guitar player in a band.
I agree.
If you have 2,
but wouldn't you have thought that about Keith Moon?
That would
Keith Moon.
I know, but you know what? When someone dies, you get a pass. If someone's still alive and they won't let him back in the band, then there's a problem.
It's weird. Like when Mick Taylor quit the Stones, like Ronnie Wood, like how were the Stones ever without Ron Wood? You look back at Brian Jones, he's the guy that looks like he shouldn't be in the Stones, and it was his band.
Yeah. Mick's, he's touring with them again.
It's amazing.
They're playing the Staples Center this Saturday. You know, we're taping that metal show at Sony Studios. They're rehearsing next door. I saw the stage.
They're doing Little Queen. I saw a couple of the set lists. It's like Little Queenie
and Shattered, and they're doing She's So Cold.
Like, yep, She's So Cold.
That's a fucking great song.
So great, underrated, super underrated. But going all the way back, That's How Strong My Love Is, Baby. Like all those B-sides from Chess Records are like, fuck it, blow the dust off it. This is what got us started. And Little Queenie, Love in Vain, they're going to be doing.
That's what I mean. The Stones always their whole excuse is like, look, we got so many hits. There's only so many could put in a set, but everybody that goes see the Stones knows the Stones stuff. They know most of the obscure stuff. You could do a set with only 7 big hits in it, and you could do not super obscure stuff, but you could do She's So Cold and stuff like that, and a bunch of other stuff that were minor hits. You could throw them in. Everyone's going to know them.
That's what I want.
I know.
That's why I don't see them anymore. I saw them at the Hollywood Bowl, and my wife and I went, and I was bananas. Jim Florentine, May 18th, Rock on the Range in Columbus, Ohio. I'm like, okay, this is a special night. It's the Hollywood Bowl. It ain't an arena. It's not a stadium. If ever there's going to be a show where they just do Sticky Fingers cover to cover and close out with Moonlight Mile and Goodnight, like no one's going to complain seeing 60 Minutes if it's just Sticky Fingers, like when Springsteen went out and just did Nebraska and did stuff. Fucking honky tonk women. And like they did all the hits.
Under My Thumb.
And I was really bummed out. And I don't ever need to hear Honky Tonk Woman again. Brown Sugar, Jumpin' Jack Flash,
Start Me Up.
You know what I need to hear? I need to hear Sway. I need to hear, not even bit, like Moonlight Mile. I gotta hear it. I Got the Blues. I want to hear Parachute Woman. I want to hear something like you said.
Yeah.
You don't have to go that deep.
All you have to do is just tell people before the tour. This is what we're doing. We're doing a lot of, not all the hits.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do. And then people can decide so they're not pissed when they show up. I wanted to hear all the hits. And they're going to sell every ticket. They're going to sell every ticket. Yeah. That drives me nuts with bands because they do that stuff all the time.
The set list I saw, they open with You Got Me Rockin' off of Voodoo Lounge, what I think is one of the most underrated Stones.
That's a great song.
That's a fantastic Stones album.
Yeah.
That like Suck on the Jugular and all those great, like Moon Is Up and all that. I love Voodoo Lounge. 60 seconds. Don't go anywhere. Jim Florentine.
You've tried streaming hit shows on your PC on Hulu.com. Now it's time to start your free trial of exclusive content in your living room and on your mobile devices on Hulu Plus. With Hulu Plus, you get total control to watch thousands of shows wherever you want, whenever you want. Use Hulu Plus on connected TVs, game consoles, Blu-ray players, Roku, Apple TV, PC, or watch from anywhere on your smartphone or tablet on demand at all times. And with Hulu Plus, you can binge on full seasons like I do. Watch your favorite current shows and even full series runs of classic TV shows. It's just endless. They got Community, Modern Family, South Park, SNL, Monday Night Raw, The Man Show, Jimmy Kimmel, Family Guy, and more. Hulu Plus is only $7.99 per month. But right now they're offering an extended free trial of Hulu Plus that is only available to the Mohr Stories listeners. Take control of your TV watching experience. Go to jmohr.com and click the Hulu Plus banner for your extended free trial, or go to huluplus.com/J. Again, click the Hulu Plus banner on jmohr.com or go to huluplus.com/J.
What is your favorite Stones album?
I'm going to go Some Girls.
Really?
That was like the first one as a kid that my brothers got me into. I wasn't into the stuff before, so that was the first one. Faraway Eyes is one of my favorite songs.
Home. Somebody also said Some Girls to me, and I was like, that's bad. Like that. No, and we argued about it.
You didn't like that?
Then I went back and I didn't like it. And then I went back. I just had such a like just Charlie beating the shit out of the snare. I'm so respectable. Like to me, it was just a sprint, the whole album.
Right.
But then when I went back and listened to it, I'm like, this really is great. It's
usually the first album you get from a band, like you hear, that's usually your favorite. That's how most of the time it goes for me. And I just remember 14. I was 14 at the time. I think it came out or something like that.
What's the first album you bought?
Probably like either Aerosmith or Boston.
Which Aerosmith?
I think it was Draw the Line, maybe. And then the first Boston.
You're the only one, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great cover, man.
It was unbelievable.
Remember, cover art was like a job.
Yeah, cover art was amazing. Every song on that record is a hit. on that first Boston.
Astounding.
There's not one song that's not played on the radio.
Can you name a Peter Frampton album that isn't Frampton Comes Alive?
No.
I can't either.
Wait.
One was probably called Peter Frampton.
Yeah,
Just
probably.
look it up.
No.
And like, what happens since you're the resident music expert? What, like a guy like Peter Frampton, I don't think people realize, a lot of people under our age, I'm 42, you're around there, like guys in their 20s, like they just don't know anything about Peter Frampton, but they don't understand it. You weren't more famous than that.
No.
And it was legit. It wasn't Bieber. It wasn't like pop shit. It was a guy with an arena with a guitar, with the first guy with an airbox to like make his guitar talk. It was fucking Frampton. Do you feel like I do? And everybody's on Quaaludes like, yeah, dude, I do.
Yeah.
And like but then just gone. What happens to these people?
Well,
you interview them.
Frampton was the first guy. Frampton Comes Alive was the first huge live album.
Was it a double album?
It was a double album because what happened in the 70s, all that shit was I don't know how it was recorded. I don't know the technical shit, but a lot of those albums didn't sound that good, especially the hard rock stuff. The sound was off, but the live albums, they captured it live, brought those songs to life. And Frampton had a couple, like 3 studio albums before that. The songs were okay, like the Kiss Alive records. Yeah. The songs sound way better on the live records than the studio cuts. Yeah. That happened with Ted Nugent. That happened with Peter Frampton, Judas Priest, a bunch of bands. But Frampton was the first one. And in this day and age, no way would a live album break a band like it did Frampton.
Or break them open, you mean?
Break them open. Because people are like, oh, live album.
Like a Smashing Pumpkins live album.
Yeah, like if that was their first one, you were like, no, I want to hear you get it off of the studio cuts. But Frampton was the first one. That album just brought those songs to life, just the way it was recorded. It gave that a better sound to it.
And Frampton Comes Alive, by the way. 1, 2. Winds of Change was his first album, followed by Frampton's Camel.
Yeah, Frampton's Camel. Who knows that? He doesn't even remember that album.
Something's 1 hump or 2 hump. Something's Happening. In 74, 72, 73, 74, 75, Frampton, I called it. And then in 76, 1, 2, 3, his 1, 2, 3, 5th album, Frampton Comes Alive, which I'm almost positive is like one of the all-time highest selling albums ever. It's Dark Side of the Moon, Tapestry by Carl King, Thriller, and like Frampton Comes Alive, right?
No, well, Back in Black's in there.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Back in Black and
Appetite.
Every generation eats that alive.
Eagles' Greatest Hits is in there.
Really?
You never got it?
Just drunk white people music. It's just white wine in a red Solo cup like, oh my God, Dirty Laundry, it's so great.
Some of that stuff was all right.
It's like I saw Genesis at the Carrier Dome in Syracuse, and 4 songs in, me and my friend Marty were tripping our balls off, and we're like, this is like bad news. Like, we don't want to be associated with these people.
Yeah, well, Genesis was a little...
And I'm like, I'm heckling. Play something off of Abacab. What the fuck is this? And then as soon as they did the first song, a Peter Gabriel song, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And that was like where I put my foot down.
But they didn't, that was before, was that after the Phil Collins, all the solo stuff?
They kind of got right back together.
Okay.
Yeah, it was after he was huge, so they were able to go back out there with him.
Because he had some bad, Susu Studio. Ugh.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah, he had...
so Some Girls, your favorite Stones album. Who's your favorite Beatle?
I wasn't a big Beatle guy. I mean, Lennon, obviously, but...
I think we talked about this last time.
I missed a boat on the Beatles.
And Zeppelin, my wife...
if you go back, I don't know, I know this is sacrilegious to say this, but if you go back and listen to some of the Beatles stuff, it's a little corny.
What, Obli Dee, Obli Da? You don't think that
Yellow
shit's deep?
Submarine.
That's Ringo, dude. That's like having a special kid on your team. Like, just give him that bat and maybe he'll take a walk. Don't swing, Ringo. Don't swing.
All right. You got me on that
one. I used to always say to my wife, people always go, Stones or Beatles, Stones or Beatles. And I was always Stones, Stones, Stones. And then my wife just put me through the ringer of like, here are the Beatles, here's the White Album, here's Abbey Road. And like, Abbey Road, fuck my, you know what's weird? The amount of Beastie Boy samples I heard on Abbey Road, I'm like, oh yeah. Oh, like all these things I rocked out to listening to Paul's Boutique.
Right.
I'm like, wow, this is great. And then she said to me, it should be Stones or Led Zeppelin should be the discussion because the Beatles are like the Michael Jordan. They're up by themselves. True. And now like I'm on this crazy Led Zeppelin kick where I'm like, I can't, and we talked about John Bonham earlier. Like just when the levee breaks, the opening drums to that, it's hard to imagine that's just a guy on a kit. It sounds like 4 people.
I know.
And again, to bring up Steve Gorman, who you should meet and hang out with, and he's got a radio show in Nashville. So if you ever do Zanies in Nashville, make sure you go on his radio show.
Yeah.
we're talking on the phone once. I'm like, when the levee breaks, because I heard the original, the old blues one, and then listening to the Zeppelin one, they're like light years apart. He goes, you know what's great about that song? It just fucking dies. It's like someone shot it out of the air, and then it moved a little on the ground. They just shot it again. And I was like, oh, and I just rushed back to my car. Like the drummer from the Black Crowes. It sounds like a goddamn schoolgirl.
Right.
Like you get that little piece of
That's
information,
true. Yeah.
and then you just wear out when the levee breaks over and over and over.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, Bonham died and they just couldn't get their shit together.
Yeah, I mean, Jason did a good job. Did you see that Celebration Day, the DVD from that charity show they did 5 years ago?
And now, so that was everybody with Jason Bonham.
With Jason Bonham. Phenomenal.
Really?
2.5 hour show. They
Now,
basically just said, they did that for that Ahmad, whatever his name is.
Ahmad Erdogan?
Yeah, that died. So that was the one they did in 2007 over in England. They did one show. Everyone thought there was going to be a reunion after that show, but there wasn't. Plant wanted nothing to do with it. Plant and Page were fighting like animals for 3 weeks
What do you think
rehearsing.
they fight about?
I don't know. There's some shit from the past. I'm sure that they just never got over a business decision. So, well, Page pulled the motherfucker on Plant by getting together with David Coverdale and did that Coverdale Page record.
The Firm?
No, that was it. That was Paul Rogers. There was David Coverdale from Whitesnake.
Yeah.
Was like a Robert Plant clone. They always said. So they were like, oh, please, this guy's Robert Plant. Like, took complete imitator. So at one point when Plant didn't want to do anything, Page goes, okay, fine. I'm going to go to the arch rival, David Coverdale. And we're going to make an album called Coverdale Page, and it's going to sound just like a Zeppelin record.
And he let Coverdale have top billing.
Oh, yep, he did. And if you hear some of the stuff on there, if you look it up, Coverdale Page, it's a Zeppelin record. It's fucking great.
What's your favorite Zeppelin record?
I get probably Physical Graffiti. I love Presence. Presence is my most underrated record. But
Physical Graffiti was the one that I was always like, meh. But then once you get the drummer from the Black Crowes that toured with Jimmy Page going, oh, no. Like when you hear those certain songs and a guy tells you this is the most fun to play live and this, you go, yeah, I think Physical Graffiti might be. And that was a double album.
That was to me, that's the greatest double album of all time. Not that too many bands release double albums.
Better than Exile on Main Street?
Yeah.
Really?
I think so. Every song on there is great. But there's only like 13 songs on the 2 records, though.
Yeah.
So it's really only one record.
And every song's like 8 minutes, 7 minutes. Like, I think the shortest song, yeah, you're right. It's like 5.5, 6 minutes long.
Yeah.
Greatest selling albums of all time. You ready for this list? Thriller, Back in Black, number 2. Jim Florentine, put him on the board. Dark Side of the Moon. Whitney Houston, The Bodyguard.
Oof.
Wait a minute.
How did that get in there?
I don't know, but it's not. It's only 15 million off of Thriller. Bat Out of Hell by Meatloaf. Eagles' Greatest Hits. There you go, buddy. Bee Gees, Saturday Night Fever. This is the one that bothers me. Okay, I'm all right with Shania Twain, Come On Over.
Right.
'Cause that's just some fucking country western world that I don't know.
Yeah.
Fleetwood Mac, Rumors. That really bothers me.
Yeah, that's...
And then way down, you get like Led Zeppelin 4 and Alanis Morissette.
What about Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction, or Hootie and the Blowfish had to sell like 15, 16?
Appetite for Destruction, 30 million. It's way down.
Way down, wow.
Iron Butterfly, Inagata Davida, 30 million. Would you ever have guessed that?
No, 30 million? What about Metallica Black Album? That's got to be in between 20 and 30. Around.
Oh, 20 and 30? I'll look right now.
Probably about
Madonna's got back. Metallica, you're right. Wow, Jim, you know your music. The Metal Show on VH1. This is why. Metallica, the first one, 30 million. That's more than Nirvana, Nevermind, and more than Pink Floyd, The Wall, if you want to put that shit in perspective.
Squarespace, an all-in-one platform that makes it easy to create a professional website, blog, portfolio, and online store. Squarespace includes hosting, analytics, 24/7 support, and even includes a free domain name when you sign up for a year. Start with clean, beautiful templates, and easily customize it to look exactly the way you want. Squarespace has a ton of drag and drop functionality. For example, if you want to add a picture, you add an image block and simply drag your image from your desktop to your site. Adding videos, text, audio, and other blocks of content is just as easy. Squarespace takes care of all the technical stuff so you can focus on making great content for your website. Last thing, with responsive design, your website automatically scales to fit perfectly on every device. Every Squarespace template has its own customized mobile view. It's $8 a month for the standard plan, $16 for their unlimited plan, and $24 for the unlimited plan and an online store. For a free trial, go to squarespace.com/jmohr, and when you're ready to purchase, click, enter an offer code under pricing at checkout, and use the offer code J5 for 10% off. That's J-A-Y and the number 5, or go to fakemustache.com and podcast1.com and click for the Squarespace banner on the Mohr Stories page. Squarespace, everything you need to create an exceptional website.
Fleetwood Mac, Rumors.
Yeah, that's like chick music. My older sister was in the Fleetwood Mac.
When you meet
she
a
used to
chick
dress like Stevie Nicks. I'm like, ugh, you can't even see if there's a body there. It's fucking terrible.
When you meet a girl that's into Stevie Nicks,
Yeah.
That's not.
No, she's
stay
not
away.
putting out.
Yeah,
She
like she
wants-
might as well just go, "Hey, do you like Wicca?"
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're not.
I have a lot of cats and I like Wicca. You want to go listen to Rumors and maybe we'll fuck after I burnt through this patchouli incense.
Yeah, you notice she's lighting candles and there's fucking incense. Yeah, she's got a big hairy bush. No way she's shaving that. No chick that likes Stevie Nicks.
Oh, yeesh. Best concert you ever saw?
It's tough. There's been a lot. I'm gonna go with Rage Against the Machine
Yeah, a lot of people say
at
that.
Roseland.
Fucking Roseland. Someone should do a documentary about the walls of Roseland. Just shoot the walls and just get people to sign off the soundtrack.
I hate the setup of the place. You can barely see.
You got to be up on those sides. in
Yeah, because the
VIP
floor is
spot.
just completely flat. You know,
Yeah,
now they're
it's a
building the
mess.
venues where they go up like this, so you can, see. But that's a terrible place. Irving Plaza is a great place to see a show because the stage is really high. So
Oh, that's
a
where I saw Radiohead. Yeah, it's an oddly high stage.
Yeah,
You're right,
it's good. So anyway, even if you got a big guy in front of you, you could still see.
Hammerstein Ballroom high stage too.
Yeah, Hammerstein's good too.
These are both all in New York City. Me and Jim are New York guys, New Jersey.
Well, I've seen some shows at Brendan Byrne Arena.
Oh, the old days. That's where I saw Van Halen with Hagar. That was the first concert I ever saw. Was the 5150 tour.
Really? Wow.
And he drank Jack Daniels out of Michael Anthony's bass.
Wait, but did you see Roth on that on his Eat 'em and Smile tour?
Oh no! It was 5150. It was like David Lee Roth is gone. Now it's Sammy Hagar. Hello, baby. And they had like higher and higher. They had all these summer nights and my radio, and I'm like just like 16 in wrestling practice. Like, yeah man, kick ass.
Yeah.
And you don't know at the time that it's just garbage.
Well, they got really commercial with. I was more of a Dave guy, so I liked Eat 'em and Smile over 5150.
Roth was cool. He did say some things about Eddie where I thought could have been like, here's my fascination with when arguments in a band. Whenever it's a guy that doesn't play an instrument, or like when it's Robert Plant and Jimmy Page arguing, I just instinctively, I got to side with Jimmy Page because he fucking plays an instrument.
Yeah.
You know, he's the one that goes, how about this? Da-dun, da-dun, dun, da-da-dun, da-dun, da-dun, da whole lot of love. And then you could fill it in with your words.
Right.
But that's the song.
That's true.
And then when he played it on This Might Get Loud, you see Jack White and The Edge look like children. They're like, oh. It was amazing. The Edge, by the way, completely out of place in This Might Get Loud. They needed to pick a different guy.
Yeah.
They needed a guy with dirt under his nails. Buddy Guy would have been cool.
Yeah,
Even Clapton. He's like, play some of that old fucking Cream.
Yeah, I mean,
Cream.
no one, I don't know any like Edge solo. I'm like, that's unbelievable.
It's all pedals and echo.
Yeah.
And I love you too.
U2's great. They are, but
who would you have picked to replace the Edge in that documentary? Because nobody knows Buddy Guy licks, but that's who Jimmy Page would have been.
Eddie Van
Flabbergasted.
Halen I would put in there if he would have.
Oh yeah.
He would have done it. I would definitely done. Yeah.
Yeah. A good call.
Satriani is good too.
Wednesday I got him, recording him. What should I ask Joe Satriani?
We just had him on our show.
All right, you had him first. Relax.
Well, we had him on Skype. We Skyped with him. He couldn't make it in studio.
Can't Skype in here, buddy.
I like the monitor here. You can
I like
just-
that he toured with Mick Jagger. That's got to be the weirdest gig
I
in the
know.
world. Like, so when you're done, you're going to go back to like those other guitarist guys that you like to hang out with? You sure you don't want to just keep touring with me?
Yeah.
I can play better than those guys.
Wait, speaking of the Stones, it just hit me for some reason. They brought out John Mayer when I saw him in Newark in December.
Wildly underrated, John Mayer.
Really?
Absolutely.
I have no problem with him. I saw him at the Cellar. He does stand up. He's a really cool
That's
dude.
why people think he's a douche.
But no, I love his stand up. It's really dark and edgy, and he knows all the comics, and he was totally cool with me and stuff. So I have new respect for him. But it was just weird him coming out playing with the Stones.
What song did you?
Oh, shit, I forget.
Seems like everybody comes out to Love and Cup.
It might have been that.
Because Jack White did Love and Cup with him.
But is he underrated as a guitar? I don't know his stuff.
He
so.
followed. I think it wasn't the Grammys. It was one of those award shows, and it was like the girl, Karina Bay Raleigh, a young black singer, like a chanteuse, like a real barroom singer, a girl
Right.
with pipes, and then John Legend. You don't follow John Legend, like even if it's not your style, the guy's got soul coming out of his goddamn toenails. Fucking John Mayer went up after two very black people and went, watch this. was amazing.
Really?
He's wildly underrated. And his Radiohead cover of Kid A that you can find on YouTube, we'll put it up on the Tumblr page. It's astoundingly beautiful and simple. And the lyrics are so simple that you because I'm come so far away from Radiohead because I'm tired of the goddamn computer noises.
Yeah.
And they were a garage band. Like, I'm a creep, I'm a weirdo, and everybody can play guitar, and those were good tunes and Blowout and stuff off of Pablo Honey. And now it's just there's a guy that plays the Mac. Like, he actually plays computer. That's his job.
Right.
And it's like, no, man. So when John Mayer does Kid A, which is a super electronic album, and a song on that album, you go back to like, this is a fucking great song. Like, this is really dark and weird. Right. But it just gets lost in the sounds like robots fucking.
Yeah.
All right. So, David Lee Roth, I saw your first concert was?
My first concert was actually Van Halen and Black Sabbath at the Garden.
Oh my God. That's tough to top.
Yeah.
Black Sabbath, underrated. You say Thin Lizzy, but I think Sabbath.
No,
I don't want to sound like Jimmy.
No, Sabbath's my favorite band of all time. So.
And when I listened to old, like, I got the War Pigs basement tapes, like their demos and stuff, and I was running to it a while back, obviously, because I had a radio body now. But I was running to like fucking War Pigs demo, and I'm like, this is crazy. This is more metal than any band from fucking Austria could ever. Like, all these death metal
and that was
bands.
1970 too.
Yeah. It's the darkest shit in the world. Just like drinking the fucking rat's blood and priest and shit. It was amazing.
Yeah. I mean, if you go back and listen to our first Black Sabbath record, it still sounds fresh. Came out I think that 69 or early 70 or whatever came out. It still sounds fresh, and it's so evil and fucking dark and heavy. And
Ozzy's voice is so perfect.
Yeah.
And every single member of that group is perfect and great at their instruments. And I don't know who produced the set, and like Paranoid specifically, like when that shit wraps up and he just speeds it up a little at the end, like nobody was doing that shit. That's like Scorsese style.
Yeah.
My first concert was 5150, and my first album was Love Gun by Kiss.
Nice.
So yeah, I got a soft spot. But then Gene Simmons does everything he can every day to make you not like Kiss anymore.
Does that bother you? I was never a big Kiss fan, but it does. Yeah.
Because it's good music.
What about the last? Have you heard the last few Kiss records?
No.
Because they say it's their best ones.
Really?
Yeah.
You believe that?
No, I don't.
Detroit
but
Rock City? Over,
they always do.
Destroyer.
Like, no, this is the best one. We'll put it up with Destroyer any day.
They said about Steel Wheels when the Stones came out with Steel Wheels. This is the best one they've ever done. Or like Bob Dylan, Time Out of Mind. This is better than the freewheeling Bob Dylan. Actually, it was, but. Are you a Dylan guy?
No, Warren Zevon though. Warren
Zevon opening credits to Action. Even a Dog Can Shake Hands.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was a good tune.
Fuck. Well, that guy's. He had some dark lyrics too, man.
You're the one that told me I need to start listening to Frank Zappa. No?
No, I saw Zappa once. He made the whole audience sit down in a theater. We're standing, and he's like, "Sit down." After the first song, seriously, I'm not going to keep playing until you guys sit down.
Oh, so he's kind of a dick.
He's like, "I don't need you guys. We're just going to up here and jam. You guys can really just sit down and be comfortable."
Oh, well, that's nice.
Yeah, so it was
but
nice. He wasn't
you.
being a dick. Yeah, but he basically made it. He goes, seriously, everybody get down, sit down. So we sat there and watched him.
And how was the show?
It was great. Steve Vai was in there. Young Steve Vai was in the band. And the people, and what's his face?
Jesus Christ, yeah.
Terry Abozio from Missing Persons, his drummer. And then Dale was in the band too, the chick from Missing Persons.
Dale Bozio.
I would have been. She was in Hustler. Did you ever see that Hustler spreadsheet?
No, but I remember that was like the thing when Missing Persons came out. Spring Session M, I believe the album. We're like, record. She was in Penthouse, bro. And then Terry played the drums.
No, it was even Hustler was even better.
Oh, yeah?
Full bush, everything.
Oh, you saw it?
Lips, please. I had it in triples.
What's the Jeff Ross joke? Read it. I ruined it.
I ruined it. I know.
You funny son of a bitch, Ross. Steve Vai, like, he toured with David Lee Roth.
Yeah.
Like, it's so weird that he just hasn't landed someplace and just had a home because he's so good.
He does his own. He's got his own solo thing, like what Satriani does, and he does like 2,000-seat theaters playing Steve Vai music.
Oh, okay. So
he's got his own record label, and he can do it himself. He does a bunch of music scores for movies and stuff like that.
I was going to tell you earlier about David Lee. We were talking about guys arguing in bands, and I said to David Lee Roth, I go, when you go to Templeman and say, hey, Eddie's the greatest guitarist in the last century. Is going to play keyboards for Jump. Like, is there any pushback from him? And David Lee Roth, like, there were like these weird things that when I listen back, I'm like, if I'm Eddie Van Halen, that's going to really bother me. He goes, well, when you listen to Eddie play, he called him Edward. He goes, well, when you listen to Edward play, I mean, you know, what's, I forget the song he picked, but it was like, that's just dun, 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 dun. Oh, Hot for Teacher. That's
right.
Dun, 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 dun. And then you just repeat it over and over.
Right.
So when you go to the keyboard, what's that? Dun, dun, dun. I mean, you're not reinventing the wheel. You know what I mean? You're not. And I'm like, eee. And I'm starting to think I know why you guys don't get along.
Wow.
Like, he really just kind of made Eddie Van Halen, made it seem like what he does is super basic.
Right. Well, you know, him and Eddie probably cost him a lot of money over the years, you know, by throwing him out of the band, not letting him back in, bringing Sammy in. Dave was on the outs for a long time.
Long ass time. But he made a lot of fucking money on the outs.
Yeah, but I don't know if he did those down years in the 90s. And he said, you know, he said, was it on your podcast or he said somewhere, he said Nirvana really killed him, his career, even his solo career.
I think what killed his solo career was he decided to do a bunch of like Sinatra covers. He didn't write music.
He was doing, he was later on. Eat 'em and Smile and Skyscraper.
Like he's doing Beach Boys songs.
Yeah, those first two were good with Billy Sheehan and Steve Vai, but then he got all new players.
And they all could be California. And then the Wilson brothers just get a check.
Oh, yeah.
Like you're not making any money. That like Bette Midler's somebody who's very, you're like, Bette Midler, what the fuck, where'd that come from?
Right.
But like, and Elvis Presley, Bette Midler, like two people, very different, iconic people, big gay audience, Jim. Bette Midler, like, why won't you just pick up a fucking pen and you're telling me Bette Midler with the garbage that's out, can't, like Rod Stewart's doing covers, like just scratch out a fucking song.
I know.
I don't get it.
He's got a new, I just saw a billboard on Sunset, Rod Stewart, new album, but it says all songs written by Rod, because he hasn't done that in like 25 years.
But it's all, he's just using the formula probably for those bullshit songs.
Yeah, he's probably just
The Way You Look Tonight, and he's just, I mean, the guy was in the Faces. You know what I mean? Infatuation! Like, it's Rod Stewart. He's cool.
Yeah.
And then I don't know.
He had some clunkers in there in the 80s and 90s.
Well, the Who had Mama Has a Squeeze Box. Everyone takes a shit once in a while.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
The Stones, Between the Buttons and Black and Blue is garbage.
People Get Ready, that cover he did that song with Jeff Beck, Rod Stewart.
Money,
phenomenal.
It's good. I was like, wait, you didn't like that? No, you did like it, right?
Absolutely. It's a great song.
And Jeff Beck, are they in like the back of a pickup at some point?
Yeah.
Jeff Beck's just standing up in the pickup playing.
Yeah.
He was almost in the Stones. Jeff Beck, I'm pretty sure.
I think so, yeah.
And then I forget who it was, but somebody explained to him that you're Jeff Beck and you're never going to be a member of a group. You're Jeff Beck.
Yeah.
Like this is never going to work because you were always going to be Jeff Beck and you think that your opinion is Jeff Beck's opinion. And this is Keith's man. He's a fucking pirate.
Well, that's a good question to ask Satriani because he's never played in a band before, and he plays with Chickenfoot with Sammy Hagar and Michael Anthony and Chad from
Chili Peppers.
From the Chili Peppers, because that's his first band he's been in.
A super group, if you will.
But it's so he's got to be around. He creates everything. He plays all the instruments on his records and stuff. So that's a tough one to do. I mean,
I want to ask him a lot about touring with Mick Jagger. Like that's got to be the weirdest. So what's Keith like? Because technically, you're light years ahead of Keith Richards on the guitar.
Yeah.
If you're Joe Satriani, and listeners, technically I'm saying. I'm not saying you can weave in and out with Ronnie Wood like you can on, Shattered and even like songs from, Some Girls. When I went back and listened to Some Girls upon what you said, like the interweaving, the like fencing almost between Keith and Ron Wood it's unbelievably great. The room they give each other. And obviously it's produced a lot, but when you see them live and when you listen to their first tour of the Stones, Love You Live, they're drunk as fuck and Keith is detoxing from heroin. But when those two guitars battle back and forth, when they just take turns, that unspoken thing that you can't teach it.
I know.
It's amazing.
It is.
So Satriani being technically superior to Keith, I think is very safe to say.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. Well, you keep
without a doubt.
Silent partner. You just keep staring at it. It's just got to be weird. You want Mick Jagger to go, you should join my band. You're superior. I don't know what accent that was, but you should join my band. You're a great guitar player. But,
Yeah, but meanwhile, he's like, I'm not just going to strum like, Satriani's all over the place. Wait, how weird is it that Mick Jagger is like basically their travel agent? He books the flights, he books the tours. He's super cheap, and he's admitted it. He doesn't like to spend money, so he's the one who books all the tours, books the travel, negotiates with the venues on how much money they get. He does all of that. He books the hotel rooms.
I didn't know that.
Why is he doing that?
Does he use Travelocity? Does he have some
Maybe
deal?
he probably does.
How many
he puts
miles?
a bid in on Priceline. Keith, I'm sorry, you're staying at the Days Inn right outside the garden.
I'm sorry, Keith.
Yeah,
we did all we could. And Charlie Watts is sort of down the road. Again, I think that was a Liverpudlian and Stones impression. But those guys are on, like Ronnie Wood, I think, is still on salary. In fact, I'm almost sure of it. They don't chop up the money and split it 5 ways.
Probably
it's Jagger
not.
Jagger Richards. And then they did that shady shit when they created the name of a guy, Nanker Felge. There's like 15 Stones. Do you know this?
No, I don't know this.
There's like 15 Stones songs written by a guy named Nanker Felge. And
Right.
it was Mick and Keith. They created a fake guy so they wouldn't have to split royalties with the rest of the band.
Really?
Yeah, I swear to God. It's amazing.
So wait, so it's Jagger Richards.
Everything's Jagger Richards.
Right.
A couple are Jagger Richards Wyman. And then a couple, like Hey Negrita, I think, is Jagger Richards inspired by Ron Wood. Like, we'll
Right.
give you that. Don't talk back because we auditioned 50 guys. And then, but way before that, it was Nanker Felge.
Wow.
But Ronnie Wood, he was always on salary. And then, remember he went to rehab and he was only in there for like a week. And TMZ had footage of him like, doing like Nixon's like peace signs.
Yeah.
He went into rehab. Legend has it. You can't tour if Ronnie Wood is in rehab. He went to rehab to renegotiate his deal. They had to go get him out of rehab to tour.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's fucking genius.
That's
I mean, he's a fall down drunk. Don't get me
right.
wrong.
No, that's good.
As he should be. Nanker Felge was a collective pseudonym, as Wikipedia, which never lies, used between 63 and 65 for several Rolling Stones compositions. Yeah. Look at all these songs. Little by Little, Andrew's Blues, Now I Got a Witness, Empty Heart, West Coast Promotion Man, Play with Fire, Spider and the Fly, I'm All Right, We All Want the Stone. That's all songs so they wouldn't have to fucking split any of the money with anybody.
That's
It's diabolical, right?
Yeah.
But what are you going to do? You going to quit the fucking Stones? Mick Taylor did.
That happened. That happened with Black Sabbath. The original band's getting back together. They always would fuck over the drummer Bill Ward. It's been those 4.
Why him specifically?
I don't know. They just always thought he was like the retarded kid. Just throw him a few bucks, he'll be fine. He was a big part of that sound. He was a great drummer too. Very underrated.
He was. I want to be a part of you guys.
Basically, when they get back together after 20 years in 1999, they go, look, we're going to take like 32%, and we're going to give you between the 3, Ozzy, Tony, and Geezer, and you're going to get 4%. He's like, why am I getting 4? Well, do you want to be in the band or not? Because we're going back on the road. All right, I'll take the 4. Cut to 10 years later, they want to do an album with Rick Rubin, this one that they're doing. And Bill goes, all right, before they announce the reunion, he goes, I want 25%. This is our last tour. We're fucking 65. This is our last go around. They go, no problem. I'm going to give you 25. Don't fuck me over. We're not going to fuck you over. They have a big press conference, announced Rick Rubin's producing. The day that they're going over record the album in England, they fax him over a contract, 4%. You going to sign it? He goes, no. You said 25%. Sorry, you're going to either sign it or don't get on the plane. Doesn't get on the plane.
So they toured without him?
They got Brad Wilk from Rage Against the Machine played on the record.
Well, that's not a bad second.
I know.
But you know what? If you really love Sabbath, it does make a difference.
Well, yeah, it
and
does.
then you feel bad for Bill Ward.
I feel bad, because you want, like I said before, if they're alive, just give them the money. You're at 65. How much you need from that money? You're going to make a fortune. You're going to make $40 million between the album and the touring.
Yeah.
Can you split it 4 ways? Can you get $10 million apiece? If Tony,
I didn't know that they did him like that.
Yeah, well, usually they split, but and Bill just said, no, I'm not getting on a plane. And he posted it. He went out put on his website the whole thing that went down and the money that was offered and everything. He goes, I don't want
fans have a say in it?
the fans were pissed.
But they still came.
But he's the drummer. He can get away with it. Tony Iommi, you can't replace, and Ozzy, you can't replace. But the drummer you can. In that band, the drummer, you won't miss the drummer, unfortunately.
Yeah, Zeppelin, you missed the drummer.
What time do you do your radio show? I heard it on Tampa when I was down there.
That's right, 620 WDA.
Sorry.
Why did I make him laugh so hard? I memorized it. Matty Boy just threw up. Why did I make you laugh so hard?
That's right, 620.
Because I said it like a radio guy? That's right,
Yeah, I know.
620 WDAE, whatever the hell it is. You notice when people call the show from Tampa, there's a website, jmoresports.com. It's not Fox Sports Radio. It's just like a fan page. This guy, Steven Houston, literally just made it.
Right.
And there's a button that says affiliates. So I'm letting the cat out of the bag here, but fuck it. We're up and running, 125 affiliates. So like when a guy, affiliates, so you click that on jmoresports.com, a guy calls from Alabama, I go, that's right. He's listening on 1340 in Florence. What's up, Alabama?
Nice.
And you just bring him in.
Right.
You just bring him into the fold. Let me see if I had Tampa right. Tampa, Florida. Oh, if I get this right, I'm so happy. 620. Look at that, baby. Tampa, 620. WDAE.
So I was listening to you in Phoenix.
I don't. It's in the sixes as well, I believe, right? Phoenix, Arizona. I know Vegas is 920. Phoenix, Arizona, 910. Shit, an upside down 6. Fuck you, Matty. All right, so they toured and the fans were mad, but at the end they came Sabbath.
Well, no, they're starting a tour and the album's done and Bill's not on it, but they're still going. I was mad in the beginning. I go, I'm not going. If they're playing 5 minutes from my house, I'm not going. Completely changed. Caved.
What about little Jimmy Norton?
He's going.
So Bill Ward's just at home poor
Yeah,
with
unfortunately.
his 4%.
We were rooting for him, but it didn't work out. But
Hey, what are
sorry.
you gonna do?
Guys, what are you going to do? That's
you
not
know
my
what?
problem.
Hey, Bill, I have to eat too.
Yeah, exactly.
And I eat music made by Black Sabbath.
And you're playing 7 minutes from my house in August and on a Sunday night when I'm off. I'm going.
Yeah, that's going to be hot to death, man.
Yeah.
I dig it. So Sabbath, so when bands argue, do you side with the guy that plays the instrument?
It all depends. Look, the lead singers are all nuts.
Yeah.
So it's always they got
And
egos.
Sting plays bass, and he's the lead singer, and he's always arguing with the drummer. But I think the drummer's wrong. I think because they argue over time. There's another thing we talk about ad nauseum on this podcast.
They argue. What do you mean over time?
The actual beat time,
Okay.
the time of the song. Like one of them's going too fast, and they get in actual shoving matches after the concerts. Like that's why the Police always break up.
Yeah, well.
Stuart Copeland and Sting can't agree on the fucking "Can't Stand Losing You," and then somebody's like, "Can't stand losing." Like they.
Well, Sting is always the one changing the songs. When I saw the Police at the Carrier Dome. Speaking of which,
This last tour?
No, it was back in like the
Okay,
late
Back when they
80s
were
or something like
a
that.
real band.
Synchronicity.
Yeah, good tour.
And he's always trying to fucking change the songs. He's slowing them down. Just give me the fucking song the way it was played. And I could see what Stuart Copeland being pissed. I was pissed too.
I don't
need a 20-minute version of Roxanne.
You're like me. When I go see a band, I
Yeah.
want it like that's what I loved about the Steel Wheels tours and the Stones. Every song sounded exactly like it sounds on the album. It was a little longer, obviously, because you got to
Right.
leave room for the jam. But it wasn't like a jam band, Grateful Dead, go out for fucking 20 minutes, get coffee, and come back, and you're like, what song is this again?
But let me ask you something. One of your favorite bands, the Black Crowes, aren't they famous for that, for doing long versions of the songs?
Yes, and I stopped seeing them when they went off, when they really started doing like when they drove Old Dixie down and like
Right.
stuff like that. But really diehard fans that are obviously much more diehard than me, like they love that shit. They want to hear like an Allman Brothers cover. They want to hear something from George Jones.
Right.
But I love their catalog so much that I like when they go out, but they seem to do it exactly long, perfect enough. Like when
Okay, so
when
it's
they
not
do
so-
my morning song and they just vibe out and they go into that weird dead. But also there's an enormous crash to come crashing back to.
Right.
It's not like a rambling thing and then a guy sings something and it's over. There is like a down, and then when it comes back, it's almost like an undertow. You're like, it snaps you awake. Like,
Okay.
holy shit. And they're all still, yeah. So them I like. They do it the exact right amount of time for me. A little less covers I would like out of
Right.
the Black
Yeah.
Crowes.
Yeah. I know. I
'Cause
don't like when they
their
do that. It's like,
songs.
you don't need to throw a cover in there.
No. I don't need anybody. I don't want to
They
see
don't.
U2 do fucking ABBA.
No.
I don't think it's funny.
No.
Satellite of Love was cool. I did like when they covered that one Lou Reed song.
Right.
In the middle of the concert, you mix it up a little bit.
Yeah.
But when you see the Black Crowes and it's 20 songs in a set, I don't want 8 of them to be covers. Don't educate me. Just, I'm here because I'm versed in Black Crowes.
Yeah.
Just play a Morica cover to cover and we'll get out of here. They're coming around again too. They got back together.
Speaking of Amorica, I looked at my CD collection. I still buy the actual CD, and then I load it in my iTunes and I put it on my iPod or my phone or whatever. But I like to have the CD.
Me too.
So I'm going through it and I'm missing Amorica for some reason. It's gone. So I went to a local CD shop in Jersey and it was in the used bin. So they had the original cover or the censored cover right next to each other. Like, what do you think I'm going to take?
You want the big bush?
Of course. I want the fucking pussy hair sticking out. It was the same price, $3.99.
You're talking about the album or the girl at the checkout counter?
Both.
It is a great album.
Yeah.
That's my favorite Crows album. And that's another band that keeps going through guitarists. They started with a guy whose name I never remember. Then they had Mark Ford. Then they had Audley Freed. Then they had Luther Dickinson from the North Alabama All-Stars. Or Mississippi,
right.
Whatever the fuck it's called. And then now he's out there touring with the guy from Steve Gorman's band Trigger Hippie. Like, it's not like some of these bands, you don't know the core of a band until guys start dropping out. Like Josh Homme was just here, Queens of the Stone Age. He's got a different 5 guys every album, every tour. And one of them, like Dave Grohl, Mark Lonigan from Screaming Trees is on the album, but he only does 6 songs.
Right.
But he tours with them. And they just put those songs together, and then he just goes back to his fucking hotel. Like, that's weird.
Yeah.
So obviously Josh Homme is Queens of the Stone Age. Obviously Chris and his brother and Gorman are the Black Crows, and everybody else you can just replace them. You can replace Bill Wyman apparently. Apparently you can replace fucking Keith Moon. You can't replace John Bonham. And you can replace Bill Ward. Because you son of a bitch, you're part of the problem.
I am. I thought I wasn't going to cave. I caved. It wore me down. I heard snippets of the new album. I'm like, holy shit. This is fucking unbelievable.
And they got Rage, and they went top shelf. They got Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah, I know. And Rage is like one of my top favorite bands, too.
Best concert you ever saw.
Yeah,
it's not like they got
absolutely.
some sessions guy.
Yeah, like, who's this guy? Yeah.
Well, he played with Carl Perkins back in the day. He was a Memphis Mafia's nephew and his Shooter Jennings' friend. You're like, okay. No, it's fucking Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah. Hey, there's a band. I don't know if you heard this band called Blackberry Smoke. Mm-mm. Cross between the Black Crows and Lynyrd Skynyrd from Atlanta.
Blackberry Smoke.
Yeah.
I'll YouTube that shit right when I go
They look
home.
like Lynyrd Skynyrd if it was 1976.
So everybody's alive.
They're
They look
alive.
like Lynyrd Skynyrd if they're alive.
Yeah. They're really good, man.
If airplanes were never invented, these guys look like Lynyrd Skynyrd.
Yeah. You know that whole story with Artemis Pyle and that plane crash, though.
Couldn't get through that joke.
No, yeah. Look, my brother, they were touring with Ted Nugent at the time. When that plane went down like
Ted
a week
Nugent
before.
Underrated, yes? Guitar player.
Yeah,
underrated.
absolutely,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, so they're touring with Nugent.
It was Lynyrd Skynyrd, Ted Nugent. The plane went down, and like 3 days later, Nugent's like, "Fuck him, I'm still playing," and didn't cancel any shows, and didn't even mention Lynyrd Skynyrd during the show.
Sounds like Ted Nugent.
Yeah, didn't even acknowledge that he just got some opening band, some local or whatever, and never even acknowledged that the plane went down or anything.
And they were called Skynyrd Leonard.
Yeah.
That wasn't very good. I'm sorry.
Wait, but you heard you know the story about the Artemis Pyle, a drummer, in that plane crash? Mm-mm. They crashed in a field, I guess Mississippi, or I forget where. I think it was Mississippi, right in the middle of like a cornfield.
Someone's gonna tweet. It was fucking Ohio.
Yeah, it was one of them. I don't know. All right,
they fucking crashed.
It might have been Tennessee. It might be one state over. Whatever.
Everyone just calm down. At Jim Florentine.
In the winter, I think it was the winter too. That might be the summer, so somebody's going to yell.
Fucking June.
It was
rock history, douchebag. Geek. 620 WDA.
So he's got a broken leg, a fucking broken shoulder. He's got a fucking huge cut on his forehead or whatever. He walks like 2 miles. He sees like a light. He walks to somebody's house because he's like, what the fuck? Nobody knew the plane went down. It was in the middle of the night. He goes to somebody's house. He knocks on the back door at like 4 a.m. A guy thinks he's getting robbed, then shoots him, and he got shot in the shoulder. That's a bad night. That's a bad. You got in a plane crash and he got shot because they thought he was robbing the place.
That's an official thing.
Officials, absolutely, 100% true.
Now, only 2 guys from Lynyrd Skynyrd died from the action. What? Oh, that's good.
Yeah, he got. Yeah.
So he died, and
Ronnie Van Zant, the
lead
singer, yeah, and he got hit by the friggin' like the Beta, whatever before VCR, whatever that was, hit him in the head. He wouldn't have died from the crash.
The Betamax from the plane flew
The Betamax flew and hit him in the head.
So you really need to store your personal items and keep your tray tables secured and ahead of you.
That was the problem.
That's really
If it was just an iPod or a little fucking iPad, he would have just got a little cut in his head.
This is the softest plane crash of all time. Guys are walking around. They're getting hit in the head with VCRs. What kind of fucking plane crash is this?
I think 3 or 4 people died in it. Two from the Skinner band, like a hairdresser or something, and somebody else.
Jesus.
But Artemis Pyle fucking walked 2 miles with a broken leg, broken shoulder.
That sounds like a Lynyrd Skynyrd song. Artemis Pyle walked 2 miles with a broken leg and broken shoulder. Knocked on an old man's door and cried for help. Shot him in the shoulder.
Shot him in the shoulder.
Like, that's like fucking give me back my bullets. Redone.
Yeah.
All right. Jim Florentine, the metal show is on VH1. Who's your co-host?
June 1st is the new season on the
June 1st, your
VH1 Classic.
co-host?
Yeah. Eddie Trunk and Don Jameson.
Don Jameson, I always forget it's him because he's like reinventing himself. I just know Don from emceeing shows like the Comedy Cellar.
Well, then
I know
also,
he's such a metal guy.
But didn't he book you on MTV? Because he used to work at MTV. He was a producer back in the day. Half-hour comedy and then Kamikaze.
Yeah,
did you ever do any of that stuff?
Yeah. I did the half-hour comedy hour and like 2 drink minimum and those things. I always got along great with Don.
Yeah.
And Eddie Trunk, I almost made cry on Opie and Anthony.
He still brings it up.
Really?
It's fucking unbelievable. The guy, I'm not going to put the hits in there. What the fuck? Everybody knows those songs. Holy shit.
For the list, Eddie Trunk is very well respected by me. Rock journalist.
Absolutely.
It's like there's 2 guys, David Wild and Eddie Trunk. Those are your 2 go-to guys for rock and roll knowledge. And he put out a book called like the essential
hard rock
albums of all time.
Yeah.
And each band, like it'd be Iron Maiden, and he goes, these are the albums, these are the guys that play in the band. They switch drummers out, Nico McBain and some other guy. Bruce Harris, the bassist, writes the songs. Essential listening. And then he lists like 10 songs.
Like 10 tracks, yeah.
Like if you like the Stones, you gotta know Midnight Rambler. You have to know Sympathy for the Devil. You put in like fucking Jumpin' Jack. You put in a hit.
Yeah.
And you put in something blue, something. And Iron Maiden, he left out Run to the Hills and Number of the Beast. And I'm like, one or the other I get. But Number of the Beast, it's kind of like they didn't act like they worshiped the devil. They wrote a song. It's a human number. It's 600. It's the Number of the Beast. And he's like, yeah, but that's just the hit. I go, and Run to the Hill. And then Opie just got whiff. Opie can just smell fucking blood in the water. Yeah. He's the best ever. When he sees somebody's wounded, Opie will just circle and smile and take a little peck like a fucking seagull eating your eyes when you're lost at sea. You don't even realize what's happening before Opie will bleed you out. And Opie's like, no, I agree with Jay. And then, Van Halen, he left off Unchained. And I was like, you're out of your mind. But I don't really give a shit. The guy knows more about rock and roll than I'll ever know.
Didn't he forget Panama on there, too? Or Panama was on? There wasn't a big fight over that song? Or was it Unchained?
It was weird. Like, Jamie's crying, some fucking swingy bullshit, whatever. But you could make a huge argument for, like, 6 of the Van Halen songs. And then we were going through the Iron Maiden songs. We're all Iron Maiden fans. Like, me and Jimmy, obviously huge Iron Maiden fans, and we're like, I don't even know this song. And he had like Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, like it's like a 16-minute song.
It's a 14-minute song.
Got poetry in the middle.
Yeah,
we're like,
I know.
What are
There's
you
a sword fight and some shit.
You just hear cling,
yeah,
cling. Yeah, and it was just an hour, and we just fucking took his legs out. But Unchained by Van Halen, and then I made E-Rock play it. The Opie and Anthony producer for the listeners. And if you have Sirius XM satellite radio, you definitely should be listening to Opie and Anthony. They're the best. And then we're all listening to Unchained, and everyone's like, holy shit. Because, you just haven't heard, well, you listen to this podcast, it's the opening song. But if you just haven't heard it in a while, you're like, what the fuck? And now everyone in the studio is looking at Eddie Trunk like he did something wrong. But the book's published, it's done, and there's nothing you can do.
I know.
And it was like, Eddie, why did you leave that out? He goes, I just made an executive decision. I left it out. Like he came undone.
Oh, I know. He's very high strung. We know you get under the skin easily.
He still brings it up on the metal show.
Yeah, he still brings it up. I said, I saw you last Tuesday. Oh, fucking Jay. Did you ever hear that story about Opie and Anthony? Fuck, I grilled in there for an hour.
He had Love in an Elevator on his Aerosmith hits.
Yeah.
We're like, where's fucking Mama Ken? He goes, we just shit we didn't even know.
Right.
We're just taking fucking songs from White Lion, like, what?
I know.
We don't even know any White
Lion. When the children cry.
Come on, man. He's like, well, that's a classic. He got nuts. All right, so June 1st, that metal show starts back up again on VH1 and VH1 Classic?
No, just VH1 Classic.
All right, so you're not on after, like, Teen Pregnant Mom?
No, we don't fit that format there.
No, it's a great show. It's a half hour. It's tight.
No, an hour, actually.
What did I say?
It was a half hour.
When I watch it 30 minutes at a time.
All right.
It's all right, so I'm not crazy.
Yeah, it was a half hour. Now we're an hour. We've done
good.
over 100 episodes, been on the air for 5 years.
And all your guests are super relaxed, and they're just having a good time.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
But that's you. Like, you're like one of the easiest guys to get along with. I knew you when you had hair down your butt, and you're the one that taught me. And people still tweet me about it.
They do? Yeah, I've got tweets after I did the show. They're like, that's a fucking great idea.
Keep your wallet in your front pocket, and that way chicks can see your ass better when you're on stage.
Yeah, because, and then, what was that, like mid-90s, you guys all wore tight pants. That was
early 90s.
Early 90s, right. But they liked it, so you don't put the friggin' big bulky wallet in the back.
I thought they wanted to see how big my wallet was, man.
No, you put it in the front. You fucking,
So they can see your ass on stage.
Or not even on stage or in a bar or whatever like that.
And you were jamming, Jim.
Yeah.
Your stage name was Jammin' Jim.
Yeah, for a little while. Then it was Jammin' Jim. I was like John Cougar Mellencamp. It was Jammin' Jim, then Jammin' Jim Florentine, and then I just dropped it. It was just Jim
He
Florentine.
never should have not been John Cougar. He's a fool.
Yeah.
I like Scarecrow.
Scarecrow's good.
Now, what are your essential John Cougar Mellencamp songs?
He had some good stuff back
Scarecrow's a great album.
Yeah.
Like, you could run to that.
He had some good stuff.
John Cougar Mellencamp will be at Rockin' on the Range.
There's a comedy tent there, so
Yeah.
I'll be doing stand-up a couple of I'm going to introduce some of the bands, too.
Who else is going to be there? Do you know comics?
Big J. Okerson.
Yeah, good.
Ari Shafir. And then a couple like local Ohio comics, I think, are doing it. Bill Squire.
Billy Squire?
No, Bill.
Stroke Man? Just Bill.
Just Bill.
Bill, his middle initials.
Now,
E.
see, me and Eddie always fight over this. Eddie was a big Billy Squire fan, Eddie Trunk. And I'm like, it's terrible. He goes, no, dude, before Rock Me Tonight. I go, no.
Everybody Wants You was a good song, though. Grade 45. Back when they were 45s. Everybody Wants You was great.
Right, but Rock Me Tonight, remember the video? He's snapping his fingers. He's wearing like a pink shirt. He's sliding over the couch. That ruined his career.
Yeah.
Because that's when all like the Def Leppard was opening for him, and that video came out, and he's snapping "Rock Me Tonight," and he's sliding on the couch in his silk shirt and his
So Def Leppard ended Billy Squire.
Yeah,
the way
basically.
Jim Brewer said, Metallica ended Guns N' Roses, which we talked about last time you were here.
I don't know about that.
Metallica does Ride the Lightning, and then 2 hours later, Guns N' Roses comes out in an arena. And
well, that yeah.
She got a smile, and you're like, this is fucking stupid.
Yeah, well, you can't follow Metallica,
But you can't follow Def Leppard if you're fucking Billy Squire.
Yeah,
because follow High and Dry.
Def Leppard was just breaking.
The shit was bananas great.
It was just hitting. Pour Some Sugar on Me, like that album just came out. It was just hitting.
Pyromania just came out.
No, it was actually Hysteria. So they were just blowing up, and Billy Squire.
I'm hot, sticky, sweet.
Yeah.
I never understood why a guy wanted it sounded like he wanted people to jack off all over him.
Yeah, there's some kind of weird
Pour
thing
some sugar
going
on me, and then he sings I'm hot, sticky, sweet.
Yeah.
Pour some sugar on me.
From my head to my feet or something. We just had Rick Allen on the show.
It's a Bukkake song.
It is. I love when the chicks are into it now. That song fucking got its second life.
Yeah, those things should. And when your drummer loses an arm and you don't miss a fucking beat, that's impressive.
Yeah.
A one-arm drummer. They really, as far as bands with one-arm drummers, I don't know who's better than Def Leppard. You name one other band. You name me a band that's better than Def Leppard with a guy that plays drums with one arm. I bet you can't.
I would like to see a drummer just tie one arm behind his back and see if he could play. Couldn't do it. But he did the whole thing with his feet. They moved the drums, whatever he needed to hit, down to his feet.
He brushes his teeth with his feet, too. Just to get used to it. I love to see him work the fans like he's doing jazz drumming. Just one arm with that little fan. Oh, other people's... he walked to the house after he lost his arm in the car accident. The drummer for Def Leppard, and he knocked on the door, and they helped him.
We were rehearsing early before the shows, and, there was so many one-arm jokes, and the producer had to come over and goes, look, I don't know when he's going to be in the building, so please stop, because it was just constant. There wasn't a second that went by that there wasn't. No, but he's a good dude. He talks
I know he's a
about
good
it. He's
dude,
like,
but I'm sure he's got the best sense of humor out of anybody. He was drunk driving and fucking took his own arm off, right? What if Jim's like, no, Jay, he had cancer?
No, it was New Year's Eve. It was New Year's Eve. He was in a Corvette, so I'd say speeding. So I'd say he probably was.
He got cancer speeding, and he lost his arm to bone. Yeah. All right. So the metal show, June 1st. It's an hour. It's on VH1 Classic. I put my name on that shit. I love that show. And Jim, man, I gotta tell you, out of all the comics that I ever sit and talk with, if I could ever just go out for a year and do gigs, I would you and me would have the best fucking time.
Let me know, man. I'm open to it.
Well, I never
Definitely,
can.
man.
I got fucking children. You're like a
No, but
hot
I mean,
young
if you
bachelor.
no, I'm not. I got married too. I got a kid.
What did I say?
You said I'm a hot young bachelor.
Oh,
No, but if you ever want to do gigs, I'll fly out, do a
yeah, I've
weekend
seen
or
pictures of
whatever.
your kids. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Of course.
let me know, man. I'd love to do it.
Yeah, you're just very easy and great comic. And anybody out there at Jim Florentine.
And then I also have a podcast, Comedy Metal Midgets.
You just have to jam that in there.
Well, I don't want, I thought you were going off.
I'm kidding. I was actually forgetting it, so I'm glad you brought it up. I've never heard your podcast, so I'm not going to lie to you.
That's all right.
Tell me it.
I do it once a week. It's pretty much a rant. I rant on whatever subject.
Metal midgets?
Yeah, Comedy Metal Midgets. Or I interview like a rock star. I'll interview a comic, but mostly it's just rants, just me alone because I'm lazy and I don't feel like leaving my house, so I do it right in my
Bill
office.
Burr's like the top 2 podcast
Yeah,
in the
I know.
world doing that.
Yeah, well, the guy's a genius.
Because he picked Monday?
No, because he can talk for an hour and make it interesting. I can go about 20 minutes with 6 minutes of commercials. And I put a prank call at the end, one of my prank calls, so it's really only 9 minutes of
The
material.
old prank calls? Do you do new prank calls?
Old ones that I put out
Crank
years
yankers
ago.
and
Yeah,
stuff?
crank yankers.
Pre-crank yankers.
No, and these telemarketer CDs I got out.
sir. Are you on speakerphone or are you smoking?
Yeah.
Was that you, Big Sweet Willie?
No, I was special ed, the retarded fella.
Yeah.
And
Give
I
us
did
a little
Bobby
special
Fletcher.
ed on the way out.
Yay! I like you, lady. That makes me poop. Yay!
Metal Midget, Jim Florentine has a podcast. Just for that, I want everybody to subscribe to your podcast, Jim. Jim's one of the easiest guys to get along with. If you ever meet anybody that says they don't like Jim Florentine, I guarantee you that person's a fucking dick.
Well, tell him not to meet my wife.
Why, your wife doesn't like you?
No, it's all good.
Oh, it was an old wife joke.
He's not a wife joke.
You're supposed to go like this. Tell him not to meet my wife. You know, I tell you, Jay, it's
She's
metal.
dodging me.
My wife is dodging me. It turns out it was all just stress related. All right, Jim Florentine, put your name on.